Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is here with Marilyn Honig of the channel. Marilyn Honig, Coffee, Cults, and Crafts. If you're not subscribed to Marilyn, check her out on YouTube over there. What's new with you, Marilyn? How are things going?
Oh, pretty good. But as usual, I got a bone to pick with you. You have a question. Are you
me?
Yeah. Are you coming for my gig or what? Because I just watched a little program called Crafting with Ron on Gaslight. No, I thought it was wonderful. Thank you for doing that and sharing that with us. Lisa McPherson does need to be remembered. So
yeah,
but I just had to teach you about this crafting thing.
It's funny. You know, I'm so nervous about having dead air, and I'm like, you know what? It's not really dead air if I'm doing something. Like, I mean, I sort of went through that video trying to put in some sort of chapter breaks, and I'm like, all I'm doing is painting a brick. There's no chapters here. But it was fun.
Yeah, I like the conversation you were having with that lady too. So that was really good. She has some good questions. So here we are. Hi, everybody. I'm not as scared to death to look at the chat as I usually am. Susan Q and Stephen Britton and Tampa B and everybody. So as usual, you know, I had all my list of notes about fundamentalism and all that. And I do want to mention some of this stuff, but I like to talk about timely things too, you know, just what's going on now. So this movement, it's just been amazing, up and down. Someone sort of got arrested, didn't get arrested, got detained, got sort of hurt. Like, how you feeling? What's going on with you?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. I mean, things continue to move forward, you know. I think the reason for and the benefit of all the types of things that you see going on probably change over time for different people. I think the most fundamental, valuable component of everything that's happening is showing people, you think everyone would know by now, but people don't. Showing people you do not have to be afraid of Scientology. You do not have to be afraid to confront them. You do not have to be afraid of fair game. And I think every day that these youngins, I say youngins, I mean, I think Jessica might even be like 26. So it's not like, you know, Will is 49, but Will's a seasoned veteran in doing what he does. The more the young-ish generation continues to go out and do these types of streaming videos at Scientology locations and interviewing Scientologists and talking to them, I think there's benefits on many levels, but the easiest level to see benefit is just showing the world you don't have to be afraid of these guys. And once you get over that hump of not being afraid of them, all sorts of doors open and all sorts of things become possible. And also, it's extremely cathartic to former Scientologists. I know there's a bit of a divide on whether people think this is beneficial or not, but that also varies. Depends on what you consider to be beneficial and what you consider the point to be. There are similar arguments over what the benefit were of the anonymous protests. Right. I'm someone who in the past has said I didn't think they were very beneficial, but in order for me to say that, I have to be clear on what I even mean by that. And I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but I'll try not to go too far afield. In the past, when I've said something like that, I didn't think the past anonymous protests were that beneficial. That was a very narrow statement based on my narrow experience of whether I thought it had any effect on me as a Scientologist or me as a staff member or me as a SEERG member. And I was just making that statement from my own experience. Right. But then I spoke to another former SEERG member who's someone who, after she got out, attended some of these protests as herself, not like behind a mask, and said, if it wasn't for all of that support, knowing that like a whole contingent of like the real world,
they cared,
was behind her.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have been comfortable speaking out in the way that she did. And so I guess what I'm saying is it depends on what you think the point is, what you think the point is supposed to be, who you're trying to create an effect in. Anyway, I'm kind of being, I'm kind of rambling, but
no, you partially answered my next question. So
yeah. Yeah. I think these things are very beneficial. I think even, and also showing, you know, look, let's be honest. Scientology uses the LAPD as a tool of intimidation. So, standing up to LAPD intimidation of Scientology protesters is a very valuable thing. And the fact that these two tyrannical worlds kind of collide, of Scientology and the LAPD, and the fact that they did collide in the way that they did last Friday, I'm sorry, I think that's just a perfect storm to open the door to be able to do some investigating, get in there in discovery with a lawsuit, and let's see if we can dig up some additional evidence of exactly how the corruption works and who the corrupt individuals are. Because for sure, it's not everyone. Even if the corruption goes to the chief, that doesn't mean everyone's corrupt. Like Sheriff Lee Baca, the corruption went up all the way to the top. He ended up in prison, but that doesn't mean every member of the sheriff's office was corrupt. Right. It seems pretty obvious to me that Officer Tim Tallman is corrupt. It seems obvious to me that the chief who's stepping down is corrupt with respect to Scientology. But, let's see if we can dig up some more evidence about that. So I think things are going great. I mean, you mentioned ups and downs. I'm not even sure what the downs would be. To me, it's all up.
Well, I guess that being chained to a bench for 4 hours, merely a flesh wound, you got through it. So that's not a down. All right.
That's right.
I like the attitude. I like it. So I think you partially answered this, but what would you say to people who have been in the movement for a long time, ex-Scientologists who are, a little bit critical and saying they think William's doing it wrong. They think that this wasn't a good idea, that it's dying down. Why are the second gens? I mean, I have my opinion on it, but I want to hear your take on it.
Well, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Exactly.
I've said for many months, I was actually uncomfortable promoting William's Twitter videos because honestly, they made me uncomfortable. I didn't like the way he yelled at the police. I didn't like the way he yelled at the security guards. What can I say? My tastes changed. I don't know how else to describe it. At first I thought I liked what he was doing, but I thought how he was doing it was offensive. That's genuinely how I felt. I feel differently. I don't know how else to, what else to say. Once I started, because I know yelling at the security guards, someone could go, well, what is that accomplishing? Well, I don't know. What do you want it to be accomplishing? I mean, I was having a chat with the woman who came downtown while I was painting the brick earlier today. And I sort of just was thinking to myself, because she was asking me some similar questions about this. Yeah. And I was like, well, one of the things it accomplishes is just to feel like you're doing something instead of nothing.
Yeah. I heard you say that. Yeah.
It's okay for the reasons that you're doing it to change over time. I can tell you that a lot of these former second gen Sea Org members, I'm going to speak for Liz here. I think I'm going to speak for Nora. I think I'm going to speak for the other Liz.
Yeah. Just
being able to stand in front of these orgs, these locations, and these Sea Org members, and do or say something. Yes. For the first time since leaving the Sea Org is like there's growth to it. There's something empowering about it. Now, if someone comes along and says, you're not helping those Sea Org members leave, who gives a shit? First of all, neither are you. And and I honestly don't think it is possible to say or do something to a Sea Org member that would make them want to leave. Like, and if someone wants that to be their goal, well, good for you. Have that be your goal and figure out how to work towards it. That's not my goal when I'm going to these locations. I don't think that's any of the Squirrel Squad's goal. I don't think that's William Good's goal. Now, I know William has said, well, the purpose is to keep people from going in the first place. And I've seen some people go, oh, no one's going in there anyway. Who cares? Shut up. Like, what do you care? No, Scientology is convincing people that Scientologists believe that people are flooding in the doors of Scientology. If a bunch of young people with cell phones can shut down Scientology's test center on Hollywood Boulevard, at least what they're accomplishing is to maybe do something that would make Scientologists less susceptible to being convinced that they're actually taking over the world. How can we be taking over the world when some young adults with cell phones shut down our biggest test center in the world? So now someone might go, oh, what's the value in that? Not everyone has to see the same value in all actions. Who cares? Now, to anyone says it's hurting the movement, you're just delusional. To the Chris Sheltons of the world, you're just absolutely out of your mind. I mean, you're just stupid. Hurting the movement, like says the guy who does videos that no one watches, and you think everyone should thank you for your service. So, attracting eyeballs, attracting attention, showing people you don't have to be afraid of these guys. That's beneficial at the lowest levels, and then you can stack different benefits on top of that as you see fit. And also how things happen can also evolve over time.
Right.
Perhaps protesters who go out there and feel like the first thing, the easiest thing, not easiest, but like the first thing that occurs to them is to express anger. Well, maybe over time their approach changes. Like, for example, when I go down to downtown Clearwater, my approach right now has been to confront people about Danny Masterson. Right. Now, someone might go, "You're not. What is that accomplishing?" Getting some uncomfortable truths in the face of Scientologists. I don't know that I have to have some fantastic thing that's supposed to be accomplishing, other than showing that I cannot find a Scientologist who's willing to say Danny Masterson should be expelled for raping all those women. I've not been able to get one Scientologist to say on camera that should occur. To me, that's good enough. Now, I do feel eventually my approach will change over time. Like, I'll give you an example. Confident Chris and Chris Without a Hellcat, they're very good at getting Scientologists to actually talk to them. Well, let's be honest. My approach to these Scientologists is not exactly one that's trying to start a conversation. I'm hoping they'll respond to me, but it's not like I'm actually trying to start a conversation. I would like to figure out a different approach that actually gets people to actually talk to me. But it's not like I'm going to go, "Oh no, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet, so I'm going to do nothing instead." Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, and criticize people that do. It's like, well, I've been, if someone says, "I've been in this for 25 years, exposing Scientology," then why haven't you brought them down? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's like, I'm not criticizing them unless they're coming at, people that I care about. They're trying to do something. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. And look, the test center is shut down. I'm sorry. If someone wants to come out publicly and say there's no value to that, nobody was getting in, then you know what? You're probably on the side of the enemy. Like that, there's no benefit to shutting down Scientology's test center on Hollywood Boulevard. That's not a PR win. That's not an operational win. Like, anyone who would say that is totally just looking for things to criticize and just acting like an enemy, honestly. Because look, now the test center is shut down. Okay, go to the Celebrity Center. Go to Scientology Media Productions. Go to the Hollywood Guarantee Building. Go to L. Ron Hubbard Way. How could anyone claim to be in favor of taking the cult down, no matter how you want to define that, whether it's just get their tax exemption revoked, just make it harder for people to join, try to speed up people's path out there? How could anyone actually claim to support that goal and criticize people who are out there on the streets trying to bring that about and being like, "I don't like how they're doing it"? Then get out there and do it better. I mean, it's not like those people, it's not okay to have their opinion. I'm not even saying it's not okay to express their opinion. Right. I'm just saying, how about instead of just criticizing, you get out and do it better? Because otherwise, all you're doing is criticizing. That's all I'm saying. And I hesitate to even respond to the few loud critics, because the truth is, the massive amount of response to this is incredible and overwhelming support. That's why it's just so, look, there's always some generational get off my lawn type stuff. I don't like how they're doing it. That's just kind of, human nature to a degree.
And that's their right. Like you said, that's their right. I don't have to claim that I'm in their family or anything. It's like, they can do what they want. It's fine. It's all fine. But a few things you said, I think last time we talked about the eyeballs thing, like one thing that is just amazing. Like when you realize you were getting, arrested by Mr. Adorable, and you said, "You're going to arrest me with thousands of people watching on a live stream." And he looked kind of scared, I have to say, for such a Mr. Big Stuff, tough guy. He was just like, and then he didn't say anything. But I think that, again, the awareness, the eyeballs, the just, now I think every kid from age 16 to 25 knows that Scientology is a cult because of TikTok.
That's right. That's right.
That can't be a bad thing. It can't be a bad thing.
And he might have seemed scared, but clearly not scared enough, which is terrifying. You know?
Yeah.
But I just think what they're doing is so great. And the fact is, the amount of feedback, I think it's important to keep in mind that just because people support you does not mean you're right. Just because people oppose you does not mean you're wrong. And just because a lot of people want to watch something doesn't mean that's something that someone should be doing. People really need to keep their own counsel on this kind of stuff and do it for the right reasons and try to figure out for themselves what those reasons are. The amount of feedback that I get from under the radar Scientologists, meaning they're still in Scientology, but they're under the radar, and former Scientologists and former Sea Org members. And when I mention those three categories, for the purposes of this anecdote, the feedback I think I find most valuable is the feedback from the people who are still in Scientology, but under the radar, who absolutely love what's going on. So the feedback from that contingent is the one that I kind of put the most weight on, because they're the ones who are still closest to the center of the bubble, you know? But it doesn't mean there's no value to the other. It doesn't mean I see no value to the other opinion. It's not like I see no value to people who are like, I wish it would just be done a little differently. That's a valuable opinion. Go out there and show people that will work.
Right.
Just do it.
Try something.
These kids are showing you that
do something. Yeah.
These kids are showing you that anyone can do it anywhere with nothing but a phone. So what's your excuse to just say, I wish you would do it better? Go do it better yourself.
Well, and this might not work either. But and this is another thing too I wanted to ask you is, I've seen, in the chats and people saying and people, speaking out about that this is dying down. Why are the second gens going there? And I was going to ask you that. And you said it beautifully. Even if they're just going there to stand there and for their own benefit to empower them, I'm all for it. I'm, behind them 1000%, because like Liz and Nora standing in front of CC, they were tortured behind those walls, so they have every right to stand there and face their abusers and say, I'm here. And I think that speaks 1,000 words, even if no one else is around, even if there's no signs, even if there's no TikTokers, even if there's no yelling, there's no nothing. They just stand there as a unit together. I think it's beautiful.
That's right. And it's even more empowering for them to be able to do that. With thousands of people watching and supporting what they're doing. That's a good thing. And if someone were to say this is already dying down, why would they go down there? What's dying down? Scientology or the auditing videos? And let's take both arguments. Oh, okay, well, maybe having more people jump on board would prevent it from dying down if they're talking about the auditing videos. But to be honest, the auditing videos aren't dying down. So I assume that's not what they're talking about. So if someone's like, Scientology recruitment is already dying down, why would they bother? What a weird argument. What? That's like if someone's Scientology is already shrinking. Why should we be talking about its abuses? Is kind of how that sounds to me. Like, what? I don't, that doesn't even compute.
I think it was the movement. Like, why are they going to meet, up with streets or whatever if he's not going to be there? I think that was what I got from a couple of the comments I saw.
And who says it's dying down? Street said that if the test center is closed, there's no reason to go to the test center. Right. There's other locations.
Totally. Yeah.
There's the Valley. There's like 5 other orgs in Los Angeles. There's Pasadena. There's the Valley org. I'm actually not very familiar with all the orgs, but there's the Celebrity Center. There's LA org. David Miscavige is about to launch the new era of management. He's about to launch new command teams to every org in the world. I can promise you when those command teams launch, one of their top priorities is going to be to get the Div 6 activity on the streets just exploding. The Div 6 is the division that brings in brand new people into Scientology. Those are the guys that are out on the streets selling books, selling books, handing out the flyers for like Dianetics video, little movies and whatnot. It's good for people who are going to want to do this kind of stuff in the future to practice doing it now. Because one of the reasons the Div 6 activity outside of orgs has been almost non-existent for the last 3 or 4 years is because of the COVID lockdowns and the new era of management training evolution. Scientology kept their orgs locked down for years, practically. Okay. Because they really don't want a lot of new, potentially sick people walking in their doors. And because they're not actually prepared to deliver, because half of their staff are off in training, they haven't been doing a lot of the Div 6 stuff. Div 6 is just shorthand for handing out personality tests, handing out the flyers for movies, doing the body routing, trying to bring people in. In the next month or 2 or 3, every org in the world is going to be out on the streets doing massive Div 6 activity. We need streamers doing these live stream audits in every city where Scientology has an organization. This thing is so far from dying down, it's not even funny.
That's good news, because I want to trek out to like Boston, and I don't know if there's anything in Charlotte. Like anytime I go anywhere, I definitely want to check it out and see, maybe where we can do a worldwide something protest or whatever, where just pick a day and we'll all drive to the nearest, and maybe it's not going to bring Scientology down, but it'll bring more eyeballs and more momentum.
Yeah, I mean,
like
I feel if we look at that phrase, bringing Scientology down, nothing short. Okay, you can do it membership wise, or you can do it financially. Membership wise, I believe we are bringing Scientology down. But financially, the only way to bring Scientology down is to have their tax exempt status revoked.
Yeah.
Okay. With millions and millions of eyeballs and fans, we have to properly organize, and we have to, have enough people helping with this initiative. Do kind of a grassroots campaign to get all members of Congress officially on the record as to whether they would support hearings into Scientology's tax exemption. We can only do what we can do. It's okay that we haven't completely planned out the entire, planned out the route from standing outside Scientology's test center to completely bringing down Scientology and revoking their tax exemption. It's like, we can only do what we can do. We only have to do a little bit at a time. We can grow it little by little. We can expand it. We can mold it. We can shape it. But to criticize something that's getting tons of eyeballs is just a little silly, especially when the criticism is being done by someone who gets almost no eyeballs.
Now, Aaron. Yeah, I won't go there. Anyways. Yeah. So, I was thinking about this to kind of shift gears for a minute, if you don't mind. There's a lot of talk about people within the walls, right? I mean, we've seen it demonstrated on the streets, like that lovely lady, I think she was from the Ukraine, that was basically like handled. The guy, the security guard came out, didn't even really say anything to her. He just like took her by the arm and guided her into the building when she was just being friendly and talking about how much she loves, like Scientology and stuff. And, I was thinking, like, what keeps people in? And you've talked many times on your channel about, for lack of a better word, the brainwashing, the mindset, the authoritarianism, and all that. And I was looking at different cults, different definitions of things, and the definition of fundamentalism, and it can be about a religion, but it can also just be about some type of set of beliefs or something that you're really, strongly believe about. It says, Oxford Dictionary says, a form of religion. So this is the religion part. Form of religion that upholds belief in the strict literal interpretation of scripture. And then 2, strict adherence to the basic principles of any subject or discipline. So that's what it is. It's extremism. It's black and white thinking, all or nothing, hot or cold. I was always told in my call, and there is a scripture that says it, not picking on mainstream Christianity, but it says basically God would rather have you hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, he will spew you out of his mouth. So I always pictured myself just being like Jonah and the whale, just being like spewed out of God's mouth, because I could not reconcile the black and white thinking. It was the cognitive dissonance driving me crazy. And so that's why I crocheted all the time. But yeah, I was thinking about that, is like, if they start to entertain some, their training, some doubts, their training tells them, get your whatever, your ethics, your TRs or whatever back in in the straight and narrow. And I think that understanding that, it helps me to have some empathy and some compassion for the people that are in. But then you've got the umbrella of the beast, and that's what we want to see. Them be taken out and somehow be starved of new recruits and everything else.
This isn't exactly responsive to what you just said, but it's a thought that just crossed my mind as you were explaining that. And that's I've seen some dialogue like, oh, those common Scientologists that these people are speaking to, those aren't the ones who are creating all the problems. Those aren't the trouble. And I go to and what I think when I hear something like that said is, oh, so you think that you can look at all of the Scientologists in the world, the public, the staff, and the Sea Org, and you think you can single out the ones who are making Scientology bad? That's insane. That's insane. There aren't just a few people in Scientology who are responsible for what Scientology is. And this isn't about good guys and bad guys. I don't even think of Scientologists as bad guys. It's just that people who go, oh, those are the wrong people to be confronting. Okay, so the only right person to be confronting is Julian Schwartz or David Miscavige. Everyone else just gets a pass. Everyone in the organization is responsible for supporting the organization in one way, shape, or form. And I'm just saying that as a general thing, because it's not, the protesters are not attacking anyone. In fact, most of the conversations, most of the interactions on L. Ron Hubbard Way is really just actual conversations. Now, I think I probably tend to be one of the more confrontational people, in the fact that my opening line is, do you think Danny Masterson should be expelled from Scientology for raping all those women? Now, look, that's not actually confrontational. That's just an honest question. But these other guys are starting conversations with, are you a Scientologist? How long have you been in Scientology? How has it helped you? I'm not starting conversations that way. So that's why I go, I'm being a little more confrontational. And I think I'm actually being the most confrontational. And even that, if you really look at it, is it really confrontational? Are these people really being attacked? I don't believe that they are. And to everyone who's saying, oh, well, this isn't doing any good, I would like you to opine on what good the anonymous protests did. I want to know your opinion on what the anonymous protests did. If you don't think that what these young men and women are doing out there is helpful, what do you think the difference was? Because I'll tell you what I think this new version of protest, I'll tell you the value I think it has above and beyond what Anonymous did. Anonymous, okay, I'll start backwards. I think the most valuable thing the current version of protesting is doing is showing people you don't have to be afraid. Now, someone could go, well, anonymous protests did that. And I'll go, but the anonymous people showed up with their faces covered. So now that was when it was even dangerous to show up with your faces covered. So that might have moved the needle a little bit. But there's a big difference between showing up with your faces covered and showing up with your face uncovered, live streaming to thousands of people. Right? Showing up with your faces covered is still going to give people the impression this is an organization that you need to be afraid of, because the only way you can go out there is if you're going to hide your identity. And by the way, I'm not saying that to shit on the anonymous protesters. I'm just saying, for anyone who wants to say that somehow what's happening right now is not only not helpful, Chris Shelton even says it's actually destructive. I would like to know what anyone who agrees with that perspective feels about the anonymous protests. And then you'd have to go, anyway, I'll just keep repeating myself.
I did have a question, but I lost it. There's something about the protests. It'll come to me, but yeah. So I guess we just keep trying things and just keep being here. And I just want to be a support. I'm never in Scientology, and I asked my viewers this morning, are there any questions you want for Aaron? Because I see so many things flying by. If anybody has a question, put question. I think I found one because I was trying to concentrate on you. I don't know how you do this all the time. Kelly and I have this kind of back and forth. We help each other, so we start questions, but I don't know. I can't multitask like this. But it's good to get everybody's input, and even every side.
Yeah. I remembered what you were saying that made me think of that. You were talking about the black and white and the
Yeah.
fundamentalist concept. And
Yeah.
I remember actually one of the earliest videos I ever did on my channel was this idea that one of the differences between Scientology and the world's mainstream religions is the world's mainstream religions have, and I always hesitate to talk above my pay grade about other religions, but you have sort of the mainstream, somewhat watered down version of them. And then you have the fundamentalist version. There's Christianity and there's fundamentalist sects of Christianity. There's Mormonism and there's fundamentalist sects of Mormonism.
I see someone was mad about, they were mad about the lukewarm thing. Like it was in the translation of Bible that we read. So if it wasn't in your Bible, I apologize. I got to be careful when I mention the Bible. Woo.
There you go. Yeah, it's true. The difference with Scientology is there is only fundamentalist Scientology.
Right. Yeah.
You are only allowed to interpret it literally, and that is how it is enforced on everyone. And if you don't meet that standard, you are considered not a real Scientologist. You are considered a squirrel.
Right.
And so that's just, now that might be a function of the fact that Scientology is only about 70 years old. I don't care. There's only fundamentalist Scientology. And that's why you can't really go, and sure, there's some Scientologists who never really believed quite as much as the guy next to them. Like, of course, that's also true. Things, beliefs differ from person to person. But Scientology itself only tolerates fundamentalist Scientology. And anyone who's a part of it is supporting that organization that is enforcing those beliefs and those policies on children, on victims. And I don't think it is even possible to go, well, these are the people that should really be confronted and everyone else should be left alone. I don't think it works like that at all.
Yeah, I think just, try to talk to everyone. Why not? Why not? Because you might resonate with somebody. Maybe they're.
And by the way, and if someone feels like only senior management should be confronted, I'd be more than happy to see 300 streamers surrounding the middle management building on Hollywood and Ivar. That would be okay as well. But, just to criticize people for not doing it exactly how you want it, to exactly who you want them to be doing it to, and exactly the locations is like, you're not helping.
So last time we talked, you said that Scientology, you feel, needs to come out of the closet as a faith-based religion. And honestly, I've been thinking about that since, and I've been doing some research. I have been accused by some naysayers of not doing my homework, and I've watched thousands of hours of this SPTV thing. I don't always get it right. I do know something about fundamentalism, which is not fun. So, I've been thinking about it. I've been reading about it. I've been, really just musing about it, as I like to say. And one of the things I was thinking about Scientology is, and I talked to your friend Natalie Webster. We did a stream together on, she was an OT4, I think. And she was saying how when she was going through the OT levels, she was reading the sacred text, right? And she had some questions that weren't answered in the text. And she asked, and they said, what is that? What does the text say? What does the text say? And she's like, it doesn't answer my question of like, what happened to the body Thetans or what, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, you read that, that's the only place you're going to get answers. What if it doesn't answer it? She had to just drop the question and have faith.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel
it's true.
about that. That's what I think about that, as Kelly always says.
It's true. Now in that scenario where there's actually a question that is never addressed or answered in anything L. Ron Hubbard wrote or said, that's even a little different than faith. Faith would be the book says it and you have to take it because it's true. You don't. Yeah. It's true because it says it's true. But there's a lot of things L. Ron Hubbard doesn't even bother explaining, and no one's allowed to tell you what it is you're supposed to think about that, actually.
But also, unanswered questions are also having faith, because only God knows, or only blah, 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 blah knows. You're not supposed to know in this life. So you're supposed to have faith that you don't need to know. Oh. LRH told you everything you need to know.
Oh,
so you don't need to know that. So have faith that you have everything you need to know. And when you get to Target 2 or the implant station or whatever, it'll be explained, maybe, if you're lucky.
That's right. That's right. That is an aspect of faith. I hadn't looked at it that way.
Oh, unfortunately, I looked at it a lot when I was for 36 years, and I had to just erase your brain, you know?
It's interesting though that, analyzing it a bit with hindsight, the e-meter is one of the main things that allows Scientologists to skirt this issue of faith, because they see the e-meter as it's a physical measuring device, and it's confirming the authenticity of something that might otherwise be considered faith-based, which is past life recalls, the existence of a thetan to begin with. And they use this e-meter. It essentially allows them to go, it's not faith. This is all totally provable. And other than that, like other than the presence and the use of the e-meter, like without that, I don't know that they would be able to make that mental leap.
That is technology?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read you the definition of technology. Is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry, advances computer technology, machinery, equipment developed from the application of scientific knowledge, branch of knowledge dealing with the engineering or applied sciences. So the only thing I can see that's even remotely sort of technological is the e-meter, but they call even the sacred text technology, right? The
True.
tech.
That is true. Yeah, so Scientologists, I mean, there's many different things we could talk about in Scientology as far as technology. I mean, they even talk about, how to properly read a statistic graph as technology, and that's just a misuse of the word. But let's take the procedure of auditing, or the process of auditing, or the fact of auditing. Scientologists will go, this is a technology that works 100% of the time when applied 100% correctly. And they'll take that as like a true thing. And then they'll go, unless you're not well fed or well rested, unless you're not properly trained on the procedure, unless you're not a willing participant, unless you're not actively doing things you don't want people to know about, unless you're not connected to a source of suppression, unless you're not, there's like 16 caveats that is like,
it's your fault.
What you're really trying to say is it doesn't work all the time.
If it doesn't work, it's your fault. That's what it is.
That's right. And it's like, if you're getting a medication or you're getting, a vaccine or something, it doesn't only work if you want it to work. It doesn't only work if your grandma's not talking shit about your wife. It doesn't only work if you've never seen a psychiatrist. Like,
right.
So like, there's all these little tricks baked into the Scientology belief system and structure that allows Scientologists. And this is where I talk about the conditioning, the mental thought control. It's so hard for a normal person who's never been in one of these groups to understand how otherwise intelligent, smart people can be so compartmentalized in their thinking. And it's like this exact subject that I'm talking about right here, as far as the workability of the technology, everything L. Ron Hubbard wrote about being a suppressive person, being a potential trouble source who's connected to a suppressive person, how all these mechanisms will prevent someone from experiencing gain from Scientology. And it's explained in such a way that allows Scientologists to keep thinking, Scientology works 100% of the time when applied 100% standardly, even though L. Ron Hubbard himself has given you 16 plus different exceptions to that. And yet, when you're in the bubble, it's almost impossible to look at all of these pieces and realize that if you put them all together, it all spells bullshit.
I know. Yeah, it's so tough. Yeah, and everything works together to confuse you enough where you're like, well, I don't understand this. So, I'm just going to trust the tech. I'm just going to, what would Ron do? Right? What would Ron do?
Yeah. What would Ron do?
What would Jesus do? So I think you got a lot of questions and stuff.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, good. Clearwater Chad, thank you very much.
Hey, Chad.
Lathander Grauklinger. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, Lathander. So good to see you. Hi, Marilyn. Thanks for bringing all the different SP voices to us. I really enjoy these interviews. You are a great host for the different characters.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you
You're
were
a
a
character.
lot of fun to talk to.
Thanks.
Amanda Hall. Patrick's dog needs help. Animal control should be sent all the videos, and perhaps someone from the Squirrel Squad could adopt him. But animal control must be made aware. You know, Amanda, a lot of people who've been watching the videos have speculated that the guy who showed up to take Patrick's dog may actually be the owner of the dog. Now, of course, we don't know that. But what we can say is that the dog would probably be better off just being under someone else's care who already knows the dog than it would be, you know, being taken by animal control. But I got to be honest, that's the kind of stuff I don't get involved in. That's a little too messy for my tastes. Let's see. Mastiff Mom, Missy. Aaron, would it be possible to have all the youngins on with you so we can all get to know them? They are part of the SPTV community now, after all. Anything's possible. Absolutely. I want to do videos with all of them. And there's no particular reason why we haven't. It's just that they're kind of doing their thing and I'm kind of doing my thing. But, you know, Streets and I have done a video. I did a video with Hellcat. Confident Chris and I spoke last night about doing a video. I offered to do a video a couple days ago with Jessica, but it just wasn't a good time. So, you know, well, the answer is essentially yes, but it doesn't have to happen any particular way. Okay, Spirited Dragonfly. Can others go to LA and join the Squirrel Squad? Absolutely. There's going to be another trip. A whole bunch of us are making another trip out to LA later next month. And the answer is anyone can go out there whenever they want. And one of the beautiful things is you'll know where they are because they're live streaming. And you can, if you see where they are, just go out there and join them if you want. Yeah. Clearwater Chad, thank you again. Liz Ferris, great to see you, Liz.
Hi,
Keep
Liz.
up the great work, everyone. What's this? Caroline Wilson. Aaron, do you think, Aaron, do you think, I don't know what this means.
Do you think this departing LAPD sign Cigna no speak clause?
Sorry, Caroline. I don't know what it means.
Yeah, not sure.
Many apologies. Rachel XOXO UK. I would love to see ex-Scientologists walking up and down Hollywood, Hubbard Way, L. Ron Hubbard Way, and just being present. The security would have hundreds of photos of SPs. Yeah, exactly. Just showing up is fine, you know? All right, let's see. Miss Kim. Hello, Miss Kim. I'm desperately trying to get people together to audit the Austin org. I plan on going down before it opens to talk to students there and give out flyers to shine a light on them. Email is in the chat. I did see your email as well, Miss Kim. So let me take another look at it and give you a good response because I can definitely help you with this. Okay, let's see. Shauna Williams. Do you know anything about the center here in Nashville? I drive by often, always lots of cars. I've never protested, but I want to look at starting a movement here. If I'm not mistaken, Nashville org is one of the orgs that have already opened up their new building. So it's probably a big, giant building. Even if there's a lot of cars in the parking lot, a lot of those cars are probably belong to staff members. And of course, there's always some Scientologists around every organization. A very loose and very high estimate for a Scientology organization. And remember, guys, in the United States, there's only like 50 of them, maybe 75 and guys, this is a sky high estimate, about 100 staff members and 100 public, or I don't know, 50 staff members and 150 public. And I don't mean who all go into the org every week. I mean, whoever in the last 20 years have probably called themselves a Scientologist. So, what's my point here? That even if there's a lot of cars in there, most of those could be staff members. And there's nothing special about the organization in Nashville other than it's one of the ones that already has a brand new, big, beautiful building. And you should be able to do at that organization the same stuff you see happening at other organizations. And that once the new era of management, I keep saying new era of management. I should have been saying golden age of admin. Once the new golden age of admin management teams fire back to their orgs, the Nashville org is going to be on fire with activity trying to bring new people in. So if you can get a group of people sort of like comfortable and familiar with what it takes to do these live streaming audit videos, if you can get them kind of getting their feet wet on that now, then they'll be ready to rock and roll when these new command teams fire. So anything I can do to help you with that, Shauna, happy to do so.
Nice.
Okay, Chris, I always forget how to say this name.
Chris OC.
It's got to be Chris OC. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, AA run. Marilyn, I still love my Xenu. I'm requesting an appearance from Goldenrod if the big fella is around and has time to pop up.
He doesn't have his hat on, so I'll do this one because I think this one's okay. This one's friendly. Randall. This is his husband. This is Rodney's husband. Oh, okay. Let me put his hat on. Oh, geez, the things I do for you. Put his hat on. Housekeeping. Hold on. Here he is. He's saying hi. I won't show his feet. He doesn't like to show his feet on Aaron's
He doesn't like to show his feet.
Not on your stream.
That's true.
Not on your stream.
Martha Simmons, attention, indie Scientologists. There were no golden days of Scientology.
I started that. I just thought she said attention.
Yeah.
You know,
it's funny though, because for the people who got into Scientology in like the 60s and 70s, in some ways that was like before, again, give me some leeway on my dates because I can never keep dates straight. Before L. Ron Hubbard introduced the lower ethics conditions and the ethics codes and courts of ethics and committees of evidence, Scientology was a whole different beast back then. So you do have a lot of people who did experience what they might call the golden the golden years, the golden age of Scientology, in the fact that it was just more about being self-helpy and less about controlling your life and enforcing patterns of behavior and demanding all your money, right? So some people who talk about that,
it's not abusive. People can believe what they want, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Hubba Hubbard. Hello.
Hey, Hubbard.
Power lies to paralyze. What does Ron say about faith? That's what Scientologists know about faith. Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard very much looks down on faith. Scientologists very much look down on religion outside of Scientology. They think faith is ridiculous. Why faith? We're logic based. We're fact based. We follow the information. So yeah, that's what he says. Okay, let's see. Free
as an eagle. That is my hubby. He started a new channel.
Oh, free as an eagle. I see it now. Hello. Hi, Duncan. Is not the false doctrine the DNA? Oh, is not the false doctrine the DNA that corrupts the thinking of the members of a cult and causes the mental disease that is then replicated as the cult grows?
See what I got to live with? He's just, what does that mean?
So the false doctrine is the DNA that corrupts the thinking of the members of a cult and causes the mental disease that is then replicated as the cult grows. I totally agree.
So sort of like a virus? You totally agree?
I agree with his statement. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, okay. Yeah. All right. So it's sort of like a virus. Like it just keeps growing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Subscribe to his channel, Free as an Eagle, if you like smart people.
There you go. Kelly Copter in the chat. How you doing, Kelly? Hey. Great to see you.
Good to see you, Cal.
Thank you for your work, Aaron and Marilyn. Aaron, the repainting of the Lisa McPherson on that brick was beautifully done. Thank you. Thank you. I exercised my arts and crafts muscle this afternoon. I was happy with how it turned out.
So proud of you. And I'm so proud of Kelly with her magical editing skills. Oh my God.
Amazing. If you guys haven't seen the video editing job that Kelly did, stitching together all the different video feeds and audio feeds of the incident last Friday, you got to check it out on her channel. Kelly Copter is amazing.
Yes, please.
Sandy McKenna. Aaron, you brought me to tears today when you painted Lisa McPherson's brick. Well,
that's beautiful.
Thank you for your support.
Great job.
Hubba Hubbard says, Target 2 sucked, so I came back as AI. More to follow in due course.
Thank you.
I love it. Joe DeCeppo. Okay. A is pronounced like R or similar, depending on language.
This is my friend Joe. She lives in the UK and she speaks like, I don't know how many dozen language or something. And she's a linguist and she always teaches me how to pronounce things. So I guess I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I don't know. Aaron.
Oh, no. She's referring
Just saying.
to the Scandinavian name that popped up a little bit ago that began with an A with a circle over it.
Oh, okay. So it's R.
R. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, I'll have to have her send me a voice message, and I'll let you
Okay.
know.
What is this? I am a broke college kid who cannot afford super chats either. Just be persistent in the chat and ask moderators to star your comments.
Yeah, I started that because and there was a big conversation going on, and some of the mods were saying we can't star comments, but you need somebody in the back starring comments because it's so hard to listen to you and star comments.
So how does a moderator star a comment? Because when I make someone a moderator, I do that on YouTube, not StreamYard. Right. But I need to make someone a moderator on StreamYard to have them. You need to have an admin.
Yes, like how I can click. You need to give somebody clicker.
Okay, let me call you afterwards and make sure I understand how to do that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Cool.
Yeah, I do it for Kelly.
Okay,
Kelly does it for me. Yeah.
Foxy Jane says, what exactly are they doing at the Times Square org? Oh, I love this question. All the street vendors and bus ticket dudes say no one goes in there, but that real estate's got to be expensive as hell. This is a perfect example. Okay. The New York organization, right off like a block away from Times Square, is a perfect example of an organization that for the last 3 years has really had hardly anyone outside even handing out tickets. It's because of a combination of these two factors. Scientology orgs have essentially been on COVID lockdown for the last 3 or 4 years, combined with the fact that their new golden age of admin management teams are not back yet. They're not prepared to deliver to a bunch of new people who walk in the org. That is supposed to change when the new management teams fire back. And so for any streamers in New York, you are going to have an unbelievable amount of opportunity to be out there, basically doing what the TikTok squad has been doing on Hollywood Boulevard. Don't go in there. It's a cult. It's called, and I think it's amazing. And I got to tell you, look, these management teams were supposed to fire. At the New Year's event, David Miscavige says Paris org was going to open in January. Guess what? It ain't open. Paris was like, even their best laid plans keep falling through. But once these management teams fire, we are going to need thousands of streamers. I promise you. Okay, let's see. Carolyn Wilson is back, and she says, if the LA police officer left the department, would they be free to speak out? Oh, I see. I have no idea. I don't know why they would want to speak out. I just don't know, Carolyn, honestly. Oh, what's this? Oh, Pearl Snappy. I'm covering Austin on my channel and updating here.
All right.
I like. Okay. Tracy Danneberg. What do you know of the people from the YouTube channel Crusade to Restore Scientology? I don't know anything about them other than the fact that they're independent Scientologists. So they believe in the tech. They believe in L. Ron Hubbard. They just believe that David Miscavige and his regime are bad and that Scientology should be restored. I mean, that's how Debbie Cook felt when she sent out her email, her famous email, in 2011, I think it was like New Year's Eve, 2011 or 2010 or something. Debbie Cook, former captain of the Flagland base, sent out an email to all Scientologists basically saying, stop supporting David Miscavige's programs that have taken Scientology off of the right path. So there's people who think that way. And I understand as a Scientologist why they would think that way. It's not how I think, but it's not something that I get worked up about. Hillary Murphy, has anyone been to the Scientology building in Santa Ana in Orange County? I'm not aware of anyone who's done streaming there, but Orange County used to be the most successful Scientology organization in the United States. There's a ton of rich people in Orange County. Dentists and chiropractors who were getting into Scientology all over the country would be sent to Orange County instead of to their nearest Scientology organization, because Orange County was prepared to give VIP service to these wealthy private practice owners. I think Orange County's glory days are probably behind it, but that would be a very good organization for some streamers to visit. Absolutely. Okay, Lena in Love. I can't do it. Last Norwegian letters pronounced like awe in Paul. Awe. But your other friend said it's pronounced R.
Yeah, I don't know.
R. Okay, we're going to keep working on it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Marlene Sweeney says, repent and give your money to me.
Or she always had to have the last word, I'm telling you.
Steve Britton, who is likely taking the blame for Scientology's failure to open these orgs as promised? Oh, Lord. Everyone is the answer is everyone.
Everyone except for David Miscavige.
Everyone except for David Miscavige. A quick little anecdote. Back in the day when this whole ideal org program first started, Buffalo, I think the first 3 orgs were San Francisco, Buffalo, and Tampa, if I'm not mistaken. And Buffalo is just like the tiniest little Scientology org that has ever existed. And normally in management, it's against the rules to like bypass levels of bypass administrative levels, right? Like the proper way to manage in Scientology is supposed to be you get the person under you to do their job. And if you have to go and do their job for them, that's a huge red flag. And you're not supposed to do that unless it's a last resort. David Miscavige was so sick and tired of there not being enough Scientologists in Buffalo to recruit enough staff members in Buffalo to open up the Buffalo org that he ordered the Continental Management Unit in New York called the CLO East US to just send all of the Sea Org members necessary to hold the posts of the Buffalo org. Like, it was the most unusual solution anyone could have come up with. If anyone other than David Miscavige had proposed such a thing, they would have been instantly declared suppressive. So he basically sent a bunch of people whose job was to manage the entire East US, and he made them go hold posts in the Buffalo org just so that they could open it. And John O'Reese is one of the Sea Org members who was sent from LA to help run the Buffalo org. And it was a disaster. I'm only mentioning this as an anecdote because when you say who's taking the blame, this is why I say everyone. He blamed the entire management unit of the East US for the fact that Buffalo, New York couldn't get enough staff members. But a smart manager would go, but why can't they get enough staff members? Because there aren't enough Scientologists. And why aren't there enough Scientologists? Because there's an answer to that question, and only David Miscavige can answer that question. What he can't do is just blame the Sea Org blame the middle managers in New York for the reason there aren't enough Scientologists in the world, and therefore Buffalo. Anyway, I'm rambling. But the answer is absolutely everyone is being blamed. Okay, Lisa Marchbanks, I think it's time to shout out the auditing groups as Squirrel Squad Hollywood, SS Clearwater, etc. Also, is there an order of importance in orgs? I got to tell you, Lisa, I tend to resist any efforts to better organize things like this. I think what needs to be better organized is, for example, if we're going to do a campaign, well, we are doing a campaign, but if we're going to actually succeed in doing a campaign to get all members of Congress on the record as to whether they're going to support hearings into Scientology's tax exemption, that's something that needs to be well organized. These auditing streams don't need to be well organized. I think it's better if it's not organized. You try to organize something, you get into problems, you create hierarchies, you create echelons, and I don't like it. I don't like any part of it. I like the fact that Chris and Hellcat and Jess and LA Cams and Will, they just all do what they want to do, where they want to do, when they want to do it. And if they want to coordinate with each other, they coordinate with each other. But it's a coordinating from peer to peer. It's not coordinating from top down. Right. So for example, I wouldn't want anyone to be the leader of the group in any area. You know what I mean? I know that's not really what you're proposing. I'm just kind of saying that.
Even Nora said you were right about the beginning where she wanted to have a schedule in order, and you're like, nah. And she's like, okay, Aaron, you were right. Yeah, that's great.
Super Pup says Jessica and Confident Chris went up to Orange County and Compton the other night.
There we go.
Amazing. Nice. I can't even keep up with all the streams anymore, but I love checking in with them each evening as I'm trying to go to sleep. Okay. Well, that was the last one that was starred.
Yeah, like I said, it was hard to keep up.
Oh, hold on. I'm going to bring
with
this up just
everything.
because it's fun and I don't know what it's about. Putting me in timeout and then blocking me from chats of other videos is enough to piss me off. I don't know
I'm
if
sorry,
that's
Foxy
happening,
Jane
Foxy.
88.
Yeah, if you've I guess any moderator can put someone in a timeout, but and also any moderator can block someone. You know, I do get emails from people who say, "Hey, it looks like I've been blocked. Can you please
Yeah.
unblock me?" And I guess this is a little bit of YouTube business. What's crazy, and let me know if this has been your experience. When I go into the settings and community tab on the back office of YouTube and I go through the blocked list,
Yeah.
it's not in any
Random.
order whatsoever.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
can't
in
believe some of the people. I know.
It's not in alphabetical order. It's not in chronological order. And, you know, my channel, for the size that it is and how many years I've been around, I've got hundreds of profiles on the blocked list.
Really?
And
Wow.
it doesn't even let you search the list. You have to manually go through it. And so it's hard for me sometimes to respond to the emails of people who are asking to be unblocked, but I'm going to try to do better on that. So Foxy Jane, if you're blocked from my chat, shoot me an email and I'll see what I can do.
Shoot me an email too if I yeah.
Oh,
Oh, she
wait,
did. She did
there
answer.
are more. Xenu Golf Club said, "Oh, my pearls." Okay, Lisa Marchbanks says, which orgs are the most
Most
active?
active. Good question.
I would say that the New York org really should be one of the more active orgs in the US. I mean, just numbers wise, it's in one of the busiest cities. And there's I think there's 3 orgs in New York City. There's Harlem, there's the one right off of Times Square, and then there's, oh God, I can't believe I just forgot it. There's Celebrity Center, New York. There's Celebrity Center, New York, and then there's Harlem. Those should all be busy orgs. Austin should be a busy org. Orange County should be a busy org. LA should be a busy org. The truth is, other than a few like superstar orgs, historically speaking, over the last 20, 25 years that have been known as very successful orgs, there are no orgs that are very active. I like to use the Philadelphia org as an example because Philadelphia is one of the biggest cities in the United States. Philadelphia org is the only org in all of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And it is a freaking ghost town. Philly's in the top 10 biggest cities in the US.
Yeah.
If an org that is in one of the biggest cities in the US and doesn't have another org within 2 hours of it is a ghost town, that should serve as a little test and as an example of any other org in the US or the world isn't doing much better. Paris org should be a busy org. Is it though? What's another like major like hub? Munich org should be a busy org.
Yeah.
Is it
Well,
though?
I was at Chicago at the Ideal org. It was totally empty with scaffolding, and it was busy street around. I have a picture of Xenu and Theta Potato in front of it. But yeah, it was just totally blocked off. Nothing. It's a beautiful old building. It's like an old library. Just a waste.
And Chicago org, again, I believe Chicago is even bigger than Philadelphia. They don't have enough Scientologists in the greater metropolitan Chicago area to be able to recruit enough staff members to be able to open their org.
And they've
been
two buildings.
trying.
They have the regular org up in the north of Chicago, and then towards the south was that beautiful Ideal org building that we visited, and empty.
But you know, the new building is not occupied yet. They're still in the old building.
Yeah.
But they're in the old building because they can't recruit enough staff members to be allowed to move into the new building. I mean, if that's what I mean when I say, and I know I repeat myself a lot, and sometimes it's intentional, but sometimes it's not. The evidence that any Scientologist needs, that Scientology is not only not expanding, but it is rapidly shrinking. The evidence that anyone Scientologist needs to see that is right in front of their eyes, and they still don't see it. They still think that they are the only place where Scientology is struggling. They have no reason to believe that. They have no reason to believe that other than the fact that they're told that. You'd think in this connected age that we live in, they would just start calling around being like, hey, you guys struggling too? But they're not allowed to do that.
No, they don't even, you can't even talk to your husband or your spouse or your family about anything like that. Yeah.
Susie G, would David Miscavige ever just pack it up and go on the run if pressure gets too much? He has access to enough money to pull it off. Or does he really believe? I don't think he would ever pack it in and go on the run. I mean, look, he doesn't have to go on the run. It's hard enough just to find him even when everyone knows where he is. Everyone knows that the guy's either in LA or Clearwater. Everyone actually knows the places he's most likely to be living and working, and it's still impossible to find the guy. So there's no reason for him to go on the run. He could just hide in Tom Cruise's condo.
I just love when you're like creeping around Clearwater, you're like Elmer Fudd, like, shh, be very, very quiet. We're hunting Wascalloy rabbits. I just love it. And all the buildings and Gaslight Alley or whatever. Like, I don't care that it's empty. I can't get enough of it. I love it.
Can you even believe it's called Gaslight Alley? It's crazy. I thought for sure, when Mark Bunker told me that, he forwarded me an email, and in the email he referred to this alley as Gaslight Alley, and I'm like, oh, that's funny. Mark made up a funny name for the alley, and I show up and it says there's a sign, Gaslight Alley. Like, oh my god, I love it.
Next time you go with your little paint set, okay, you need to put on the Danny Masterson wig and like wear some like 70s, because it kind of would look like Bob Ross too, and you could be like, I'm having a happy accident.
I'll just go get a Bob Ross wig.
Okay, there you go. I don't know the difference.
Because Bob Ross had a beard too, right? So that would work.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, those are all the starred comments that we have now. How about we wrap this up for now, shall we?
A star person. Yes. Let's wrap
Guys,
it up.
quick reminder for all of you here. Oh, I'm off center. If you're not yet subscribed to Marilyn's channel, go find her at Marilyn Honig. Coffee, cults, and crafts. Marilyn, it's always a blast talking to you. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.